Good afternoon and welcome to the joint committee meeting on Committee on Education and Committee on Human Services. Today is Monday, March 21st, 3:00 p.m. and we are in hearing room 229. This meeting, including the audio and video of remote participants, is being live streamed on YouTube. You will find links to viewing options for all Senate meetings on the live and on-demand video page of the legislature's website. This Zoom meeting and YouTube live stream event will include the 3:00 p.m. agenda and several other agendas for the Committee on Education, and this one is also with the Committee on Human Services. In the unlikely event that we have to abruptly end this hearing due to major technical difficulties, the committee will reconvene to discuss any outstanding business on Wednesday, March 23, 2022 at 3:00 p.m. and a public notice will be posted on the legislature's website. I'd like to take this time to remind our testifiers that due to time restrictions on our hearings, we will be limiting testimony to 1 minute per testifier per bill. For people participating remotely, please remain muted and video disabled until shortly before it is your turn to testify. When I call your name, unmute yourself and your time will begin. After your minute is completed, staff will mute you so that we can move this hearing along in an orderly and efficient manner. Thank you. And for the Committee on Education, to my right is my Vice Chair, Senator Donna Mercado Kim. And I'm not sure who is on video with us, but should we not have enough members to take the vote, we will just roll everything to our last agenda. We've got 3 or 4 today.
Okay, thank you. For Human Services, I have myself as Chair, Senator San Buenaventura. I have Senator Misalucha, and I also have Senator Favela for Human Services, and we do have 4.
Thank you. We are hearing House Bill 1999 HD1 relating to education. This appropriates funds to the Department of Human Services for the Preschool Open Door Program. To testify, Kathy Betts, Director, Department of Human Services. Kathy, please. Is Kathy there? Anyone from Department of Human Services? If not, her testimony is in support. Moving on, Sherry Nakamura, Director, testifying for HOU-EDU Coalition. Sherry, please.
Aloha, Chairs Kidani and San Buenaventura, Vice Chairs Kim and Ihara, and members of the committee. My name is Sherry Nakamura, Director of HOU-EDU Coalition, a community HOU-EDU providing a community voice for public education. We support HB 1999 HD1. Our coalition has mainly been focused on K-12 education, but we know that quality early learning opportunities is critical for building a foundation for our K-12 system. Hawaii has a mixed delivery system, which takes into consideration the differing needs and wants of our families and communities. We are grateful for the Preschool Open Door program, which provides state support for our economically struggling families. We know that in addition to state funds with POD, there are also federal and county subsidies available for families. Our hope is that our state is tracking the data for these different funding mechanisms so that we can optimize our state funds effectively. Thank you for this opportunity to testify.
Thank you, Sherry. Next to testify, Vivian Ito from Early Childhood Action Strategy. Vivian, please.
Good afternoon, chairs, vice chairs, and other committee members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak in support of HB 1999. Preschool Open Doors is a critical subsidy program for supporting preschool-aged children's school readiness. It provides access to early learning for low and moderate income children who may not otherwise qualify for general childcare subsidies, which require parents to be working or in school or training. Increased funding for POD is critical, both to make up ground after a 60% funding cut last year that resulted in drastically lost capacity and a waiting list for services, and to begin tackling the significant commitment the state has made via Act 46 to expanding preschool opportunities for children. We appreciate the legislature's support for early care and learning and urge you to pass this measure. Thank you for the opportunity to testify, and please know I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Vivian. Next to testify, Kathleen Algier, Hawaii Children's Action Network speaks. Kathleen, please.
Good day, Chair Kidani and Chair Ventura and committee members. Kathleen Algar with HCAN Speaks. You have our testimony in strong support of this measure. Preschool open doors is very important to our families that can't afford childcare on their own and that also don't qualify for the federal childcare subsidy program. It's due to budget cuts in 2020, it's serving less children than it previously had. We know how important early education is to our youngest learners. And so we urge you to, if not restore the funding, to expand the funding, to also help meet the need and the benchmarks that were set in Act 46. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. Members, that's all the testifiers we have. We do have written comments from Department of Budget and Finance and testimony and support from Executive Office on Early Learning Board, Parents and Children Together, Kamehameha Schools, and 2 individuals. Members, are there any questions of the testifiers?
No. Any members from Human Services questions? No. Already.
Okay. I don't think we need to go into big one.
No. No.
Oh, that's right. He's on every hearing.
Small, yeah,
We got-
too small.
So, yeah, so we have quorum because Central Bella is here.
Okay, members, we both have quorum, so we will be taking the vote. For House Bill 1999, House Draft 1, the Committee on Education Chair votes aye. Oh, I'm sorry. I did that last time too. Okay, we do have recommendations. So, I know, this is only Monday, okay. You might have to take over from me. Anyway, House Bill 1999, House Draft 1. The recommendation of the chair on the Committee on Education is to pass this bill with amendments, defecting the date to July 1, 2051. And that's only done so that the Ways and Means Committee can figure out where it goes in the budget and how we can finance it. So members, if there's no questions, House Bill 1999 HD1 to pass with amendments, chair votes aye.
Chair votes aye on House Bill 1999, House Draft 1. Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye. Senator De La Cruz. Excuse Senator Kanuha. Excuse Senator Favela.
Aye.
With the 3 members present to excuse, the recommendation is adopted, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. For Human Services, we welcome Senator Ocasio, and same recommendation, Senator Misalucha for the vote. Chair votes aye.
For Committee on Human Services, members, we are voting on HB 1999, HD1. Chair recommends pass with amendments. Chair votes aye. Vice Chair is excused. Senator Ocasio.
Aye.
Senator Misalucha votes aye. Senator Favela.
Aye.
Chair with 4 members present and 1 excuse, your recommendations adopted.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Good afternoon and welcome to the 3:10 p.m. hearing of the Joint Committees on Housing and Education. Present today for the Committee on Housing, we have myself, we have Senator Moriwaki, and we also have Senator Favela and Senator Rhodes.
And for the Committee on Education, we have myself, my Vice Chair, Senator Kim to my right, and Senator Favela at the far end. Thank you.
Okay, we have one item on today's hearing, and that is House Bill 2345 HD1 relating to land. It authorizes the acquisition of real property located in Eva Beach on the island of Oahu. It appropriates funds to HHFDC to purchase the fee simple interest or acquire an interest in the real property located in Eva Beach on the island of Oahu to develop affordable housing with priority given to Department of Education classroom teachers in the beginning of their career. Our first testifier for this measure is HSTA in support.
Aloha, Laverne Moore speaking on behalf of Osa Tui, Junior HSDA President. We support this bill. However, we do have a few amendments. We would like to see the wording, a reduction of waiver of school impact fees owed by the seller or lessor for any project of the developer be removed. We believe developers should pay impact fees that schools are being impacted with. And our second amendment is to include all educators. To retain our teachers, it's important that they have housing that's affordable besides just recruiting. So recruiting and retaining our educators is key. Thank you so much for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you very much. Our next testifier is Department of Budget and Finance with comments, followed by HHFDC with comments, followed by Department of Education in support, HGEA with comments, and Michael Press in support. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on House Bill 2345 HD1? Okay, if not, members, any questions or discussion?
Yes, sir, I have a question.
Senator Favela?
Yeah, this was brought up a while back ago, and I just want to add the comments that we all are for teacher housing and having the housing for availability and affordable. But to my community, I just wanted to share, we're getting jammed up and bust up by overdevelopment and lack of infrastructure and roads. Holomoa Elementary is on a track system since day one. The land, if this is the land we're talking about by Holomoa Elementary, that was actually supposed to be for expansion of the school campus, fixing ingress and outgress of the school, and fixing the road from Keanui Drive to Renton Road. Right now, if you're talking about this, if this is the TMK we're talking about, I don't know where the teacher's gonna leave unless they really work in Eva Beach, because Keanui Drive in the morning, the elementary school is backed up past the Iroquois Point Road. So if we're gonna pass this measure, we're gonna go forward. I just wanna make in the notes that they have to make road improvement and infrastructure improvements and help the school expand going forward, because it's great to build houses, but we don't have enough schools to hold the kids. So these teachers not gonna have children, they're gonna have children. So I just saying that I'll make the recommendations that we fix our infrastructure in this area because we're already overcrowded. Every elementary is almost on a track system, and our high school is 3,200 students. So that would be my recommendation going forward. As I cannot support this bill.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to call on Mr. Tanaka. So this TMK that we're talking about here, is there infrastructure as Senator Favela is concerned about? We're building more housing and there's not infrastructure. What kind of assessment has been done of this TMK?
So if this is the TMK next to Holomoa, I'm sorry, good afternoon, Chair Kidani, Chair Chang, Vice Chair Zalo, Randy Tanaka, Department of Education. If this is the TMK, which is adjacent to Holomoa, it's a 12-acre parcel that we have had discussions at some point. I believe it's Castle and Cook that owns it. Had a desires to transfer it over to the DOE because
Gentry.
Because that school is a year-round school, quite full. So they had entertained the idea of us acquiring that property next door. We also understand that the property next door was intended for park space. I had lengthy discussions with the current principal, and the driveway is access for pickup and drop off is a problem. So the intention was to acquire part of that for that purpose. But, you know, the rapid rate of growth for that area is huge. Our estimate is that we need 3 elementary schools, 2 elementary schools, 2 intermediate school, and the high school. And we're behind that. We have already started planning for it, but it's behind. It's behind. Infrastructure is behind. I have had numerous discussions with DOT, Ed Sniffen, who is acting on behalf of the SFA, brought that issue up, and he's trying to work out that roadway situation, access in that area. So it's a continuum of discussions. It is a problem.
So is the 12 acres large enough to do the 2, 4, 5 schools with infrastructure and housing?
No, that was just for housing. Yeah, the schools are planned in different areas.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
So
not
the-
concentrated there.
So the 12 acres, there's enough infrastructure for the affordable housing.
At some point, we stepped back and SFA was taking the lead on that. It still needs development.
So it's premature in a sense moving forward on this.
What was your question? What was your question? I couldn't hear. Oh, your question.
My question, oh yeah, so is it premature to move forward on?
I would say no. I think it needs to be all dynamic and concurrent, because any delay is gonna challenge us even further. But considerations to infrastructure need to be so noted now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Question.
Thank you. So Randy, the 12-acre parcel, which is it right next to the school?
Right next to the school.
So does the school need to be expanded?
If the other schools come online, it'll relieve the pressure of that school. So we'll spread out the students, the other 3 elementary schools, or 2 elementary schools. That is part of the design to relieve the pressure on that school. But, you know, we're talking 3, 4, maybe 5 years away.
So is it more realistic to expand the school and just look at maybe 1 more elementary school, if that's the case, instead of trying to do 2 more complete schools?
The multiplicity of options. One is there are plans to go vertical. I think another two stories. But that school is carrying about 1,200 students now. And for an elementary school, my understanding is the perfect place is about 600 to 700 kids. And that school's running. It's the last of our year-round schools. Because Mililani,
It's just about.
just about done, and they went vertical. So back to your question, does it make more sense to increase capacity there as the other ones come online? I think that gives it part of the relief, but not in its immediate form. I think it's going to have to go year-round for at least another 2 years.
Right, but I'm just saying is do we, as Senator Morwaki said, is it premature for talk about housing for faculty when in fact the school may be in need of the expansion as far and also the infrastructure and the entryway and roadway or whatever it is that is needed.
For classroom space, there's always options to go to trailers. It's not the perfect situation, but it makes some degree of accommodations for the enrollment. The turnaround points and some of that need to be worked through. And that parcel, I was just out there last week. They've started on the green space construction. There's about maybe an acre available that they haven't touched, but I'm not part of that discussion. That's a discussion that the SFA should be having with the landowner.
But then there's that question that Senator Fadella brought up that if you're going to put in X amount of housing there's going to be X amount of more students.
Absolutely.
And they're going to want to not go to another school. They're going to want to be there. So again, I mean, are we not really looking at right sizing all of this and making commitments prematurely?
Your questions are very appropriate. I don't have the answers for you. I have parts for consideration, but the rapid growth of that neighborhood is pretty substantial.
But part of the planning for that neighborhood and knowing the rapid growth was to include 2 additional elementary schools,
Yes.
my recollection.
Yes.
That has not yet happened. And again, most campuses for elementary schools are at the 600-700 level. I think what we have to look at is, you know, and what their needs are going to be at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. because those
And on
kids
the
are
other
gonna
hand,
graduate.
too, you have to remember that the school facility agency,
Mhm.
while that law was passed 2 years ago, you know, the governor only last week or last month appointed the executive director. So technically nothing's, you know, moved. So that's what the real issue is.
So you should know, we have contracts on the planning parts of some of those schools. You put it perfectly. The kids are not going to stay in elementary school forever. They're moving up. So we're going to have additional stress in that area on the upper grades. Campbell is the largest high school we've got in the state, and that becomes more problematic as the kids graduate up. We got Kapolei and Campbell, but they're all pretty good size. Mililani is huge. So I'm describing the problem. I'm sorry, but that's all we face. Thank you.
Randy, sorry, can you get forward on? So can you kind of give them a visual of where these elementary schools are projected to be built? Not in my community, even though Ho'opili is Ever Beach, but it's going to be built in that community, which already some of those kids from Ho'opili is going to Ever, about 300 to 400 kids, and some are going to Ever Makai. They're not even going to the middle school at Honolulu. So that's the reason why Ilima needs a 6th grade wing to alleviate that. And they're still yet not going to take away Holomua off of a track system, because the schools that we're thinking about building is in the Ho'opili Kapolei region.
It's primarily on what's called the Everplain
Yeah.
in that general area. But because of the home growth or the construction in that area, we hear numbers from 20 to 30,000 additional homes. Even if you put half a kid in that, you're talking another 15,000 kids. So.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any further questions, members?
Thank you.
Thank you. Education.
Yeah, so Chair, I don't think we have any further questions.
Should we go into recess then?
Yes.
Okay, we're going into recess and we'll come back for decision. So the joint committees on housing and education are now back for decision making. The chairs having conferred, the recommendation for the Committee on Housing will be to pass this measure with amendments. In particular, HHFDC's recommendation for an appropriation for fiscal year 2023 it will be a blank appropriation. And we want to note in the committee report several of the concerns that have been raised in testimony in this hearing. First, HSTA's concerns about the need for housing for teachers of all seniority levels, and HGEA's concerns about the need for housing for all government employees, not just teachers. We'll note the appropriation requests made by HHFDC for their fair market value appraisal report and the annual maintenance, including landscaping and public safety. We will also note Senator Favela's concerns about the lack of infrastructure, including roadways. Senator Favela, did you want to elaborate on those concerns?
Thank you, Chair. I mean, the bottom line is, I'm battling because I want the teachers and everyone to have housing care. But the first thing when I got in is we have too much traffic in Ever Beach. I had conversed with the developer and we had stressed this over the years Gentry is leaving our community after their development of Keanui. The name of the extension was called Keanui Extension, Keanui Drive Extension. They decided to go back and get a conditional use permit to change that status. And then this is the deal that they're making now. They're covering that big hole. That was a big hole, was for draining of the water. They're filling that up now, and they're making some kind of deal now because they have small homes they're gonna build. But I talked to Ed too, and I told Ed that I cannot support teachers' housing unless the connectivity is priority. And right now, it's not seen to be that it's gonna be priority. It's gonna be in the notes, but going forward, in the notes, it will not be a priority. Unless the road connectivity is a priority and the expansion of the school having chance to have more classrooms, this bill is kind of hard. It's really hard for me on my decision, even though I'm going to talk about the roads. But to me, we can make the roads, but if it's not a priority, it's just a suggestions in the notes. It's really hard for me, Chair, to even emphasize the needs of roads in my community. It really is. And I have a lot of teachers in my community too. So I'm really hard to explain that. It is very emotional for me to come up with it because I came here as, because like I said, I respect the chairs, how hard you guys work on this thing. So when I seen the beginning notes of what had in the earlier decision, I didn't make any preparation because the thing was what you said in the beginning on what you said in the earlier notes. So I cannot have the best things of both worlds. I'm gonna have to, I cannot support the bill, Chair. Not even in the notes, I cannot. So, yeah, I cannot.
Thank you, Senator Favela. We will note those concerns in the committee report as just stated. And we also want to note in the committee report Senator Kim's concerns that you raised about DOE's need to assess the elementary school needs and expansion of infrastructure in the community before moving forward with this project. Senator Kim?
Yeah, but can that be put into the bill that provided that the DOE does a better job at assessing the needs of the school and the accessibility and the egress? Can it be put in here on page 1 instead of putting it in a committee report? It says here, for the purpose of developing affordable housing, facilitate development of affordable housing with a priority given to location, department, classrooms in the beginning of their careers, subject to or provided that the DOE facilities do a better assessment as to what the school is needed.
Senator Kim, you're correct. We can do that assessment on the growth needs and part of our planning process to determine the size of the school and its location and proximity. Yes, we do that on a recurring basis. We do that for Coal Village, the new Coal Ridge, the new one coming up. We probably like to stay out of the discussion regarding how big the roads are and its traffic flow. That's not what we do. We would defer to Department of Transportation, but we can do the numbers on the school's anticipated size and all of that. Yes.
Okay. Can we do that?
Yeah, we can put that in the bill.
Thank you.
That's right there. That's thank you, Senator Kim. So if the DOE is going to entertain that, then I just want again, I'll refer to what I said earlier about the roads. I just want to put in the committee notes to DOT or whoever needs to make this road and this road complete and happy. I'm not expecting for wide roads. I'm just expecting the thing to extend to Renton Road. We're not asking for wider roads, egress and outgress for the school and extending the road to Renton Road. That's not too much of asking, but as Senator Kim had said, and then Randy had confirmed, I'll change my vote to reservations.
So again, to just be clear, one of the amendments in this bill that we will be making now is for the DOE to conduct the elementary school needs assessment as just discussed by Senator Kim. Okay, and then the final note that we'll make in the committee report is that the entity making the determinations about reductions and waivers of fees will be the DOE and SMA, as the case may be.
SFA.
SFA, sorry, SFA. Okay. Okay, members, any questions or discussion? All right, so we'll take the vote now for the Committee on Housing. The recommendation for House Bill 2345 HD1 will be to pass this measure with amendments. Chair votes aye.
Vice Chair votes aye.
Or Vice
No,
Chair.
I'm just Chair votes aye. Senator Kanuha excused. I vote aye. Senator Rowe.
Aye.
Senator Favela.
Reservations.
Chair, your vote, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. For the Committee on Education, the same recommendation, chair votes aye.
Chair votes aye on House Bill 2345 with amendments. Vice Chair votes aye. Senator De La Cruz. Excuse Senator Kanuha. Excuse Senator Favela.
Reservations.
3 members voting in affirmative, recommendations adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you. And there being no further business, this hearing is adjourned.
We are now convening the Committee on Education 315 meeting. We are here in room 229. Today is Monday, March 21st. And I'd like to take this time to remind testifiers that we have time restriction on our hearings limited to a 1-minute testimony per testifier per bill. Thank you. That was the, yeah, I was confused myself. So first on the 3:15 p.m. agenda is SCR 11, urging the Department of Education to include the teaching of financial literacy in the existing personal transition plan course requirement for each student. To testify, interim superintendent Hayashi, please.
Good afternoon, Chair Kidani, Vice Chair Kim, and members of the committee. I'm Terry Yoshijima, Interim Assistant Superintendent. We stand on our written testimony in support of SCR 011. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Terry. We also have, that's the only person testifying in person. We do have written testimony from 5 others, all in support. Members, any
Yeah.
questions?
So Terry, didn't we pass something like this last year?
I believe we have a resolution. So we have been working.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
I mean, do we need this if we already
So-
have one, or does this do something else?
I think the resolution was for this year. So we have been making progress on this area. And so we are committed to continuing that work.
Okay, so do
So-
we need this resolution?
We will continue whether we have it or not. So
Okay, but we did pass one just like it.
yes, it was
Okay,
very similar.
okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, moving on. SCR 23, SR 17, requesting the Department of Education to expand transportation services in the Pearl City School District. To testify, Interim Superintendent Hayashi, please.
Chair Kidani, Chair Kim, Randy Tanaka, Office of Facilities and Operations. As you know, transportation has been a little bit of a challenge for us in the last 2 years, but we stand on our testimony. We have pulled and looked at the Pearl City complex, and we find that the school that has a little bit of the challenge is Pearl City High School. The rest of the schools, we are making that accommodation. So we plan to adjust for those needs and work forward.
Thank you. We have no other testifiers. You might as well stay there, Randy, because I'm sure we have questions. You have any questions?
So do we need this? Do we need this result?
I think we need to monitor it for another year to see what, as we walk out of COVID, provided we have no challenges. But right now, we're making the accommodations for transportation.
What about all the other schools?
All other schools are not meeting their maximum capacity of seats. We are making that accommodation. It's only Pearl City High School that we have a little bit of a challenge.
But what about all the other schools around the island?
Oh, statewide,
Mhm.
our biggest problem area is in Kona. We are short about 75 to 100 drivers, depending on what the day is like. We are proposing, we haven't completed our evaluation, but it may require a different kind of compensation for that area because there's just not enough drivers. Our fear is that we start getting into a rate war with the other municipal, the Helion buses and those guys. And that kind of leads to nowhere. We just get into a wage war between them. So we're trying to develop more drivers.
Well, I'm just concerned when we introduce such specific resolutions per area, that how it impacts other areas.
Exactly.
And, you know, if you do it for one, you got to do it for all. And so, you know,
We have
that's
this
why I
one.
asked, do we really need a resol if that's something that can be dealt with the legislator of the district to talk it over with the schools?
I would ask for you give us a period of time to not,
Thank you.
because you get it right on the hill.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Randy, and the other thing I was going to ask is to talk about the lack of drivers. And we're not the only state that's having this, but it impacts us most because we are an island state and we can't, it's not like we can coerce companies from across the boundary in our state line to come and drive for us. So that's, you know, the bigger issue too. We have specific federal regulations when it comes to bus drivers. Has that been looked at as to whether or not we can ask the feds in periods of crises, you know, to how can it be relaxed? We couldn't ask the military to provide, and they have bus drivers. We couldn't ask the military, we couldn't ask the tour drivers because they're not licensed for school buses. So is there any way that we are looking at asking our congressional delegation to help us amend that in times of emergencies?
We have explored those options, but the standard for school bus drivers is fairly rigid. The other option we are looking at is the vans under 15 passengers do not require that CDL license to that degree. Allows us mobility. It costs us a little bit more because of carry potential, but we can service some of the more challenged areas. The challenge with smaller vehicles, like I say, is carrying capacity, and with today's rising fuel costs, so it gets a little more expensive. But all options are being considered. You're right, we talked to the National Guard, and we spoke to General Hara, and it was a challenge there. Tried to get them on municipal transportation. We've done compensation for parents to carpool. It's still just a lack of drivers.
Thank you, Randy. Appreciate it. Moving on, SCR 28, SR 22, requesting the DOE to establish programs and educational opportunities to increase media literacy and promote digital citizenship. To testify, Interim Superintendent Hayashi, please.
Good afternoon again, Chair Kidani, Vice Chair Kim, and members of the committee. Terry Ushijima, Interim Assistant Superintendent. We stand on our written testimony in support of SCR 28. Thank you for the opportunity to provide testimony.
Thank you. And we have one individual who has also provided written testimony in support. Members' questions? Not moving on. SCR 43, SR 38, requesting the Department of Education to conduct an electrical assessment of public schools for purposes of heat abatement and air filtration upgrades. Testimony from Interim Superintendent, please.
Good afternoon, Chair Kidani, Vice Chair Kim. In 2007, we started an electrical assessment statewide. We're about 70% complete of all our electrical capacity. And that has followed along with, if we could accommodate some of the heat abatement issues, that we would put in X amount of air conditioning units. It's a school-based program. So we do the assessment for the electrical carrying capacity, and we work with the schools to get more AC up to that capacity. And there's an ongoing process of upgrading the electrical systems. The report is 1,800 pages long. Didn't get a chance to read it all last night, but it is pretty intense. Why? I know. HBO. No, so that's kind of where.
So
we are
if
in the
you guys
process.
have already started one,
Oh, yeah.
then is this resolution not necessary then?
No.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Members' questions? Moving on. Moving on. SR 81, SR 74, urging the Department of Education to recognize and remedy statewide school transportation inequities by increasing and prioritizing school bus services for school children from low to moderate income families. Randy, you're up again.
Good afternoon,
Good
Chair,
afternoon.
Vice Chair. I'm sure it's longer for you than it is for me, but we have on
But
on
it's
the
more painful for you.
there is a, we're looking at a process, and really it starts with school lunch programs that are free, and transportation is free. We have reduced meal programs where transportation is free. So the discussion we're having now is, as they are the most needy and don't actually have good access to transportation to school, we're beginning to tri-level who gets, how we do the application. It's a little lengthy. We have to start that process sooner, but there could be some imbalance. How come I can't get transportation and they can't get transportation? So
So you have already started. this
yes, we have an
study,
evaluation
so,
going on now.
okay, so this is not needed also. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you know when you expect to finish it by the,
We were,
how much complete are you?
we're pretty close. We, my transportation person suggested that we do a pilot in the second semester of the next school year, so January.
Thank you, Randy. Moving on, SCR 131 and SR 115 requesting Department of Education to implement a Filipino history, culture, and identify social studies course for high school students. To testify, Interim Superintendent, please.
Good afternoon again, Chair Kidani and Vice Chair Kim and members of the committee. Terry Ushijima, Interim Assistant Superintendent. We stand on our written testimony and respectfully offer comments on SCR 131. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. In Zoom, we have Kachi Abara. Is Kachi there, please? Kachi Abara, going once, going twice. Next, Amy Agbayani. In support, is Amy there?
Yes.
Hello, Amy.
Oh, thank you very much for hearing this resolution. We believe it's very important, and we're so grateful that this has been initiated by public and private high school students, and I stand on my written testimony. Thank you very much for hearing this.
Thank you, Amy. Next to testify, Patricia Halagao. In support. Patricia.
Well, yes, hi, thank you. This is Patricia Halagao. I'm a professor at the College of Education. And I strongly support this resolution. I represent the Tinalak Filipino Education Council, and we strongly support this based on research and benefits of having a curriculum that represents our students. I also feel like our students have spent, I've had the opportunity to work with the Filipino Curriculum Project high school students, and they're designing an actual curriculum that they want to learn. And I've been impressed with the work that they're doing, and they've been working with teachers and many community members around this curriculum. And so this is one that we feel that would add greatly to the curriculum in the Department of Education and represent the 23% of Filipinos that represent the DOE. And so I hope that you will support the resolution that's been inspired by our public school students. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. Next to testify, Caitlin Jane Agnes. Is Caitlin here?
Yes, I'm here.
Please proceed with your testimony.
Okay, hello. I'm a recent graduate from Kapolei High School and a member of the Filipino Curriculum Project. I'm a second-generation immigrant and from the Philippines, and I grew up feeling a disconnection because I couldn't speak Ilocano fluently or know much about the Filipino history. For this reason, I felt lost saying that I'm Filipino American. I know a lot of people who are ashamed to say they are Filipino, and so I don't want future students to feel lost within their ethnic identity because they don't have that connection. Filipinos represent 25% of Hawaii's population, and we're one of the largest ethnic groups in the DOE, so it's important that we have more in-depth representation. As a DOE student, I feel the representation in education is so important to provide space so students like me can learn about ourselves and help me feel proud about who I am. We already receive a lot of support from the DOE by connecting with various education leaders, and we hope we can gain your support as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Caitlin. Next to testify, Shannon Cristobal. Is Shannon there? Next to testify, Brianna Agas.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Kirani, Vice Chair Mercado Kim, and members of the committee. My name is Brianna Kumata Agas, and I'm a graduate student at the University of Hawai'i at Manoa. I strongly support this resolution as a second-generation Ilocana and Yonsei Gosei Japanese. At the university, Filipinx students only comprise of 9.3% of total graduate and undergraduate students, despite being one of the largest ethnic groups here in Hawaii. If we wish to see more university enrollment, we must include Filipino history and culture in high school courses to allow for students to see their own communities, heritage, and ancestors be represented. For our youth to know themselves, they must first learn their histories. And in doing so, students can feel a sense of belonging and want to contribute to the greater community of Hawaii. Please refer to my written testimony for more detail, but thank you so much for the opportunity to testify, your time and consideration.
Thank you, Brianna. Next to testify, Elisa Espinosa. Is Elisa there?
Present, Chair.
Elisa? Not present. Okay, moving on. Marissa Halagao.
Hi.
Hello.
My name is Marissa, and I'm a junior at Punahou School, and I'm a member of the Filipino Curriculum Project. Our curriculum project is a student-driven public-private school collaboration of Filipino students. We are creating a curriculum about Filipino history, culture, and identity, and are submitting a course proposal to the DOE. We are made up of 11 student collaborators, and we all submitted written testimony about why having more Filipino representation in school is important to us. We are aware that there are some opportunities to learn about Filipino history in school, but we feel like it is not enough. We want a focused course, one that can go in depth and further empower Filipino students. Our curriculum is made up of 3 units: historical context, culture and connections, and Filipinos in Hawaii, with an overarching theme of identity. The curriculum is geared towards Filipinos and non-Filipinos that hopefully inspires others to embrace their ethnic identities and helps us feel seen in education. We've already received a lot of support from the DOE, but we hope that we can gain your support as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Marissa. Next to testify, Lauren Watarita. Is Lauren there? Going once, going twice. That is the last of our Zoom testimonies. We have another 19 or so testimonies in support of this measure. Members, any questions of the testifiers? Question for DOE, please.
So Terry, in your
Yes.
testimony, you says that there are many opportunities existing to study Filipino history and culture and benchmarks. So you've heard like the testimonies. Do you feel that DOE is already covering this, or?
I think not to the extent that this group is proposing to do, and we don't disagree at all with what they're saying. We think every ethnic group should be able to have as much opportunity to learn about their heritage cultures. We do have mechanisms in our department that can allow for the development of these opportunities. And we've had some preliminary conversations, and we are, happy to continue to work together to find ways to provide extended opportunities.
So how is this correlates with the Hawaiian culture? What is being taught about Hawaiian?
I think, well, right now, because we are a dual language state, right? So we do have some content in 4th grade that our students need to learn, that's required, as well as 7th grade. And then when we go into high school, we have the modern Hawaiian history course. So in that sense, there's no specific courses in, that match that for the Filipino culture, nor for the other large ethnic groups in our state. However, Asian Studies is a course that is available as an elective, and as well as ethnic studies.
Okay. And well, I certainly agree with the testifiers. And of course, I am also part Filipino, but I'm also part Korean, and and of course there's a large population of Japanese. So I just want to make sure, because I try to be consistent, what we do for one, we should be doing for all. And I hate if we're going to start to segregate as to, which community gets a separate kind of curriculum at the schools. So I hope that we can get a well-rounded type of education for all of the ethnic groups, no matter what size they are, represented within the DOE, and especially the host culture.
Yes, I agree totally with you that that holistic perspective is very important, which is covered in the Asian studies and the ethnic studies.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Further
No question.
Oh, Terry.
Sorry. No. Yeah, thank you, Senator Kim. But the reason why it's great that what she had brought up, and I will give you this. It's great. Majority of these ethnic backgrounds, most of them can speak their language. The only one that is lack of speaking their language and knowing their ethnicity is the Hawaiian group. I know you're teaching them in 4th grade, intermediate, and high school. But again, that was part of Hawaiian is our second language, our first language. English is our second language. But again, this is great. I'm listening to these kids. I think to myself, man, when I was in high school, I should have brought this up, because that's one of the biggest things in high school today. Local kids who have part Hawaiian is losing their identity, their culture, and where they're being. At home, they don't speak Hawaiian. They barely know anything about Hawaii. A sad part, I'm gonna give you guys this, you guys gonna think that it's kind of out of the question. So learning your culture is really important in DOE. But in a Hawaiian-based school like Nanakuli, these kids barely know what is Kaluopig. And my sister-in-law that teaches in the school took the ukuleles off the shelf, told them we're gonna play one song from Israel Kamaka Viva Ole. Half of the students in the West Side didn't know who Israel Kamaka Viva Ole is. You see what I mean? So our identity slowly is being lost. And I commend these Filipino kids and this curriculum coming up. Because guess what they just gave me? An idea. And I love that idea. So thank you and I commend you guys for doing this. But this is an idea that we need to do, like Senator Kim said, well-rounded.
Yes, and thank you so much. And, you know, when you have some time, we'd love to share some of our efforts with our world languages and our multilingualism. So students are able to earn a seal of biliteracy for their home languages. And we have continued to add more languages that are not common across our nation to that list, because we are so fortunate to live in our state. And, you know, we honor the identity of all our students because that is really the core, right, of developing our future citizens. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Terry. All right, moving on. SCR 171 and SR 163 urging the Department of Education and State Public Charter School Commission to prioritize the hiring of dedicated staff to manage federal school meal programs. Testify. Interim Superintendent. Randy, please.
Chair, Vice Chair, I will be brief for the sake of brevity. We manage the federal programs at the state level, and primarily it's to do with compliance. We have just in the last 2 weeks launched an effort to pay closer attention and apply for more federal grants. So we'll be reaching a little deeper in the funding side of the game, but we manage it at the state level of compliance primarily.
Questions, Randy? Thank you, Randy.
Thank you.
Next, SCR 216, SR 209, requesting the Department of Education to assess and report to the legislature whether and to what extent existing curriculum and training align with Aaron's Law. Interim Superintendent.
Good afternoon again, Chair Kidani, Vice Chair Kim, and members of the committee. Terry Ushijima, Interim Assistant Superintendent. We stand on our written testimony in support of SCR 216. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you, Terry. Next, Judith Clark, Executive Director for Hawaii Youth Services Network. Judith, please. You're on mute, Judith.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm Judith Clark, testifying on behalf of Hawaii Youth Services Network. We are in support of this resolution. When I was in the 4th grade, our school bus driver sexually abused me and 5 other girls in my 4th grade class. The abuse went on daily for over a month because none of us had received any education on sexual abuse prevention other than beware of strangers. We did not recognize it as abuse. We did not know how to report it to a trusted adult. And if we had received that kind of education, we would have recognized it, would have stopped at the first child instead of 6. This is why we need this kind of education in our schools from grades K through 12. Thank you for this opportunity to testify.
Thank you, Judith. That concludes the testimony. There is a testimony in support from Ryan Kusumoto, written testimony. Moving on, SCR 217, SR 210, requesting the Early Learning Board to prepare a report containing a roadmap, including proposed legislation for the implementation of Act 46, Session Laws of Hawaii 2020. Testify. Colleen Momohara, Interim Executive Director for Executive Office on Early Learning.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, and committee members. My name is Jordana Ferrer with the Executive Office on Early Learning, here on behalf of Interim Director Colleen Momohara. We stand on our written testimony and support and defer to the Early Learning Board. Happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
What was your name again, please?
Jordana.
Jordana, thank you. Next to testify, Vivian Ito, Early Childhood Action Strategy.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, and other committee members. Early Childhood Action Strategy stands on our written testimony in support of SCR 217 and SR 210. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. Please know I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Vivian. Kathleen Algier, Hawaii Children's Action Network speaks. Kathleen there. Provided comments. Micah Kane, Chief Executive Officer, Hawaii Community Foundation.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, committee members, Taupo, Hawaii Community Foundation, on behalf of our CEO, Micah Kane. We'll stand on our written testimony in support of this resolution and just highlighting that this is an important next step in furthering this efforts that were started by Act 46 in 2020. So look forward to moving forward with this. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Todd. Robert Peters, Early Learning Board. Robert Peters, Early Learning Board. Provided comments. Eileen Momohara, Executive Office on Early Learning. Sorry. That concludes the testimony. Any questions, members? Thank you. Moving on to the final one. SCR 226 and SR 219 requesting the Department of Education to implement a civil rights curriculum plan for public school students. To testify, Interim Superintendent.
Good afternoon again, Chair Kidani, Vice Chair Kim, and members of the committee, Terry Nishijima, Interim Assistant Superintendent. We stand on our written testimony and respectfully offer comments on SCR 226. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Terry. Leanne Ibesugawa, Chair for Hawaii Civil Rights Commission. Is William Hoshijo testifying on her behalf? Testimony and support. Members' questions? If not, can we call a recess? We're reconvening the 3:15 p.m. Committee on Education agenda, and we are now deliberating on the issues before us. For SCR 11, recommendation of the chair is to defer. For SCR 23, SR 17, recommendation of the chair is to defer. For SCR 28 and SR 22, recommendation of the chair is to pass as is. Chair votes aye.
Okay, SCR 28, SR 22, recommendation is to pass as is. Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye. Senator De La Cruz, is he still excused? Okay, Senator Kanuha, excused. Senator Favela. Aye. 3 members present, 2 members excused. Recommendations adopted.
For SCR 43 and SR 38, the department has noted that they are already doing an assessment, so we will defer this one also. SCR 81, SR 74, again, the department is already working on this, so we will defer this one also. SCR 131 and SR 115. Recommendation is to pass with amendments, amending this resolution to require the DOE to develop rather than implement a new curriculum. And there are technical and non-substantive amendments. Chair votes aye.
Recommendation, Madam Chair, can I just put a note in the committee report that we hope that the department's looking at all of the culture, especially the host culture as well.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, SCR 31 and SR 115 recommendation is to pass with amendments. Any member voting no, any member voting with reservations that's present, hearing none, 3 members present, 2 members excused, recommendations adopted.
Thank you. Next for SCR 171, SR 163. Recommendation is to pass as is. Chair votes aye.
SCR 171, SR 163 pass as is.
Correct.
Pass unamended. Any member voting with reservation, any members voting in opposition, hearing none, 3 members present, all voting aye, recommendations adopted.
Thank you. For SCR 216, SR 209, recommendation of the chair is to pass as is. Chair votes aye.
The recommendation is to pass SCR 216, SR 209, unamended. Any members voting with reservations or any members voting in opposition, hearing none, 3 members present, voting aye, recommendations adopted.
For SCR 217, SR 210, recommendation of the chair is to pass with amendments that are technical and non-substantive in nature. Chair votes aye.
Okay, recommendation SCR 217 and SR 210 pass with amendments. Any members voting no, any members voting with reservations, hearing none, recommendations adopted.
Thank you. And for the final one, SCR 226, SR 219, recommendation of the chair is to pass as is. Chair votes aye.
SR 219, SCR 226, recommendation passed unamended. Any no votes, any reservation votes, hearing none, 3 members present, voting aye, 2 members excused, recommendations adopted.
Thank you. Okay, members, we had a deferred decision making, so let's go into this one for a few minutes. This is from our, when did we have this meeting? Last Friday, the 18th, and this was regarding House Bill 1562 HD1, relating to the Early Learning Board. The recommendation of the chair is to pass with amendments and to defect the date to July 1, 2051. Chair votes aye.
Okay, recommendations to pass with amendments HB 1562. Wait a minute, what are we, 16?
Yeah, 1562 HD1.
HD1. Any members voting in the negative? Any members with reservations? Hearing none. 2 members present, 2 members excused. Recommendations adopted.
And the final one is House Bill 1865 HD1. The recommendation of the chair is going to be to pass with amendments. The amendments include in section 2, restoring the exemption from 302A 1401. Also noting the testimony from the DOE, we will be reverting lines 6, 7, and 8 on page 5 back to the original statutory language. The third amendment is the recommendation of the Attorney General. We will eliminate the amendments on page 6, lines 12 through 18. Next amendment on page 8, we will be amending to clarify that the commission may consult with the board in adjustments to allocations. Next amendment, we're going to add a part 2 to this bill with a blank appropriation for charter school facility funding using the language as noted in House Bill 1565, Section 3, and including a provision that eligible charter schools shall have a lease agreement that has been reviewed and approved by the Attorney General. And lastly, there are some technical and non-substantive amendments. Members' questions? If not, House Bill 1865 HD1, recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair votes aye.
Passing with amendments, HB 1865, House drops 1. Any member voting in the negative, any members voting reservations? Hearing none, 2 members absent and 2 members excused, 2 members voting affirmative. Recommendations adopted.
Thank you. Thank you, members, for hanging in with this very, very long agenda.